Hello students, good morning and welcome to another video lecture of physics. In last video lecture we were discussing about some common forces in mechanics, in which we have discussed about gravitational force, we have discussed about the viscous force, right? Contact force. One of the important concepts which we have discussed in last video lecture is the component of the contact forces. Right, one is the perpendicular component which is perpendicular to the surface, which is known as normal. On the other hand, one more component you will find which is parallel to the surface in contact, and that force is known as frictional force. So in this video lecture we are going to discuss about frictional force. I think most of you are knowing what is friction and what is frictional force and all that, right? But still in this video lecture we are going to discuss in detail about the frictional force. So frictional force. What is frictional force? Actually, you might have seen that suppose if a book or any object is lying on a surface, let us say this is that surface, and on this surface, let us say on this surface, a book is kept or any other object is placed over it, right? And the object is at rest. Let us say the object is at rest or it is stationary. So in that case, you know that the force, that is the weight of the object W equal to mg, will act in downward direction. But due to this surface, the normal component of the contact force, which is known as reaction, normal reaction, I will write N as we already discussed. That is our N, which is normal reaction, right? So here you can see that since the object is at rest, you can say that N equal to mg, or you can say that N or the normal reaction balances the weight mg of the object, and that is why the object is at rest. Clear? Now suppose if the same object and you are applying force to this object, you are pushing this object in this direction, right, or towards this, right, in this direction. Let us say you are applying a force on this object in this direction, let us say some force F. By our common experience, we know that if here we have a wooden cupboard, right, and if you simply apply a very less force to it, is it going to move? Of course your answer will be no. Let us say we have a cupboard full of some materials inside, let us say clothes and all that, and if you are applying a very less force, you are pulling this or you are pushing that object with a very small amount of force, then is it going to move? Of course your answer will be no, it will not move. But as we know that if you are applying force F, whatever may be the value of the force, let us say it is very small, then according to Newton's third law, if we apply force F on the block, may be very small force, let us say of very small value, you can say maybe of very small value, then the block must move with an acceleration of here you can say that acceleration will be A is equal to F by m. Maybe this acceleration will be very small. Let us say force you are applying is only 0.1 Newton and mass of the object is, let us say, 10 kg. So 0.1 upon 10, just for your information, let us say you are applying force 0.1 and object is of mass 10 kg, then the acceleration will be 0.01 meter per second square. It means that with this acceleration also the object must move. But here if you are applying force, then also object is at rest, then according to the condition of equilibrium there must be an equal and opposite force acting on it, right? You are pushing this object in this direction with force F. Let us say you are pushing this object in this direction with force F. So this is the force F which you are applying on that block, right? So there must be an equal and opposite force which should act on this object, right? And that force is known as frictional force. Remember, I will always draw this force from the center, but this force is along the surface. This should be the direction. It is along the surface where the two bodies are in contact with each other, right? So there must be an equal and opposite force acting on the block, and which is known as frictional force, right? Now suppose if you increase the applied force by a small amount, right? If you are still applying the force by a small amount, yet the body is not moving, it means that frictional force will also increase by its own, right? One most important thing is frictional force will come into play only when external force is acting on a body. As soon as external force is zero, frictional force will be zero. You can write here, frictional force, or you can simply write friction will come into play or will exist only when external force acts on the body or on the object or block, you can write. As soon as external force is zero, as soon as external force becomes zero, frictional force will also become zero, will also be zero, or will become zero, right? As soon as you are removing the external force, frictional force becomes zero, or you can say that frictional force will also be zero. Clear? It means that frictional force will come into play or will exist only when you are applying the force. Otherwise, what will happen? Suppose if your force is zero and due to this frictional force, suppose frictional force is already there, if your force is zero, then due to this frictional force, the object should move on its own, right? Which is not possible. If you keep a bottle over here and due to the frictional force, if it keeps on moving, then the bottle will keep on moving on its own, which is not possible, right? So frictional force will come into play only when some external force is acting on a body. As soon as external force will be zero, frictional force will also be zero. Clear? So one most important thing that we were discussing, suppose if you increase the force now, suppose initially I was applying only 0.1 Newton of force. Now suppose we have increased the force by 1 Newton, still the object is at rest, means frictional force is also increasing, right? So important point, on increasing the applied force, on increasing the external force or applied force, you can say, frictional force will also increase, but up to some limit, up to certain limit, right? The frictional force will be limited. So on applying external force, right, if you are increasing the force, still you will find that the object is at rest. It means that frictional force is also increasing, right? If it was 0.1, frictional force was 0.1. Now we are applying 1 Newton of force and still the object is at rest. It means that there must be an equal and opposite force. So it means that frictional force is also increased, right? So on applying external force or on increasing the external force, frictional force will also increase, but up to a certain limit, right? If it keeps on increasing, then obviously we will not be able to move any object, right, in any case, because if you keep on increasing the force and frictional force will also keep on increasing, then of course that object will not move for any amount of force which you are applying. So frictional force will increase up to certain limit, right? So it means that frictional force is a self-adjusting force. It will adjust itself, right? So frictional force initially it is zero when external force is zero. As soon as you apply the force, frictional force will come into play. If you keep on increasing the external force, frictional force will also keep on increasing, right? It means that frictional force is adjusting itself. So you can say that frictional force is self-adjusting force. It will adjust itself. So it is self-adjusting force, right? So here you can write frictional force is a self-adjusting force, right? So you can say that frictional force opposes the impending motion. Here let us write frictional force is the force which opposes the impending motion of a body. What do you mean by impending motion? Impending motion means the motion of a body which would have occurred if frictional force is zero. If frictional force was supposed to be zero, then the motion of the body would have occurred. That motion is known as implanting motion. So frictional force opposes the implanting motion of the body, right? So frictional force opposes the implanting motion of the body. Here, whatever we have discussed, in that case, body was at rest, right? So this kind of force is known as static friction. This kind of frictional force is known as static friction, and to represent it as static friction, we will write Fs, where S here represents static, means object is stationary, right? It is at rest. Now, most important point, frictional force is found to be experimentally independent of area of contact with the surface, right? So frictional force is basically independent of the area of contact. Suppose if you have a block which is in contact with some surface, right, then it is independent of that area of contact, right? Generally what we will think, if area of contact is more, frictional force will be more. But experimentally it is found that frictional force is totally independent of the area of the contact of the other body, right? And it was found that frictional force nearly depends on normal reaction angle. That is, frictional force, static frictional force, will use small f symbol for frictional force, is proportional to normal force n. Static frictional force is proportional to normal force n. Clear? So do one thing, pause this video and copy this. Still we have to derive the standard formula for this. So pause this video and copy this. So here we can say that the limiting value of the frictional force or the maximum frictional force is independent of the area of the contact. Let us write again that we were discussing about frictional force. In that first one we have discussed about static friction, right? So the limiting value of frictional force, that is static frictional force, is independent of area of contact experimentally. Actually this is also experimentally we have found that the limiting value of the frictional force is independent of the area of contact. Experimentally it varies or it depends on normal reaction angle. So you can say that the maximum limiting value is the maximum value of friction force, beyond which it cannot increase, right? So the maximum value of frictional force is directly proportional to normal, right? Nearly equal to it. It is not exactly true, but it is really very close to this, right? So Fs maximum is equal to mu Sn, where mu s is constant of proportionality. It is known as constant of proportionality. It is constant of proportionality, and it is known as coefficient of static friction. It is known as coefficient of static friction, right? It is constant of proportionality. It is known as coefficient of static friction. It is unitless. Look, this is also force, this is also force. So force upon force will get cancelled out. So you can say that mu s is, it is unitless, or you can say it has no unit, right? So dimensional formula will also be m0 s0 t0. Mu s depends only on the nature of surface in contact. It depends only on nature of surface in contact. So this will be the maximum value of static friction. If value is if the applied force is greater than this, then the object will come into motion. So hence you can say that the static friction is always less than or equal to mu s n. Static friction is always less than or equal to mu s n. Clear? Now, once the applied force is more than this value, once the applied force is more than static friction, right, maximum value of static friction or the limiting value of static friction, then the object will come into motion. There will be relative motion between the two objects, right? That is the surface and the body in contact with it. There will be the relative motion between these two, right? Now in this case, you will find that it will be more easy, or the object will move easily with even less force. So you can say that as soon as the object will be in motion, the frictional force acting on it will be less than the static friction, maximum value of static friction. Why less? Or have you experienced that? Look, if a car is at rest and if you are applying the force, then you have to apply more force to move that car. But once the car is in motion, right, now you will apply very less force compared to that one. Then also car will be in motion only, right? So it means that to make a body or to bring a body into motion, we have to apply more force, because static friction force, maximum value of static friction force is more. Once the body is in motion, then this frictional force will decrease. Once the body is in motion, the frictional force acting on that body will decrease when the relative motion starts, right? So in this case, the frictional force acting on the body is known as kinetic friction, right? The second type of friction is kinetic friction. The frictional force acting between the surface and the body when there is a relative motion between the two is known as kinetic friction. You can say the frictional force acting on a body when there is a relative motion, when there is a relative motion between the contact surfaces, right? That is the body and the surface, right? So whenever there is a relative motion between the surface and the body, another kind of frictional force will act, which is known as kinetic friction. So relative motion between the contact surfaces is known as kinetic friction. It is known as kinetic friction, right? Here, kinetic frictional force or kinetic friction is always less than static frictional force or static friction. Kinetic friction is always less than static friction, as we have discussed. Suppose you might have tried that, or you can try that. Suppose a vehicle is at rest, right? Then you have to apply more force in order to make it move. Once the vehicle will come into motion, then you have to apply less force compared to the initial force to maintain the motion of the body, right? So in that case, we can say that kinetic friction is always less than static friction. Again, experimentally it is found that experimentally that kinetic friction or kinetic frictional force is independent of area of contact between the two surfaces. It is again independent of area of contact between the two surfaces, as what we have discussed over here, and it is also independent of it is also independent of velocity of the body. It is also independent of the velocity of the body. It depends only on normal, like what we have discussed here, right? So you can say that here kinetic friction is proportional to normal, which means that kinetic friction equal to mu Kn. Right? Kinetic friction is directly proportional to normal, and kinetic friction is equal to mu Kn. Right? Again, pause this video and copy this. We'll continue our discussion on this. So the frictional force, the second one was kinetic friction. A kinetic frictional force, whatever you want to write. The frictional force that opposes the relative motion between the two surfaces in contact is known as kinetic friction. Look, as we have discussed, for the static friction, kinetic friction is also independent of the area of contact, and it is nearly independent of the velocity of the body, right? It only depends on the normal reaction. So you can say that here kinetic friction, again I am not writing, but you should know, depends only on the normal reaction. It is independent of the area of contact, as well as it is independent of the velocity of the object or the speed of the object. So frictional force, kinetic friction is directly proportional to normal, or you can say that kinetic friction is equal to mu Kn, where again mu K is proportionality constant. Mu K is proportionality constant. It depends only on nature of surface in contact. It will depend only on the nature of surface which is in contact with it, right? Between the two bodies, right? Then again mu K is unitless. It has no dimension because it is the ratio of the same physical quantity, that is force. Most important thing is mu K is known as coefficient of kinetic friction. Most important point is here, that is mu K is always less than static friction. Mu K is always less than static friction. Clear? Now here, once the body is in motion, right? When the relative motion starts, right? According to Newton's third law or second law, let us say, according to Newton's second law, the acceleration of the body will be body, object, whatever you want to write, object will be. Now what will be the acceleration of the object? Let us say this is that surface. On this surface we have kept an object of mass m. Let us say this is that object of mass m. Here you are applying an external force F, right? And in this direction kinetic frictional force will act. Remember, it is always acting along the surface. Here it should be, but in order to compare, we are drawing that at a common point, that is at the center of the body. Right, so here you are applying Fk. Now suppose body is moving in this direction, because this force is here, Fk is less than applied force, then only object will come into motion, right? So here suppose body is moving in this direction, then you can say that pseudo force ma is acting in this direction. So Fk plus ma will be equal to F, or you can say that ma will be equal to F minus Fk, or A will be equal to, therefore acceleration will be equal to F minus Fk by m. This will be the acceleration of the body. When the applied force is greater than the frictional force, kinetic friction, then acceleration of the body will be given by F minus Fk over m. Right? They have directly written in our book, but this is how we can obtain. If body is moving with constant speed, if speed or velocity of object is constant, then you can say that acceleration will be 0. Velocity is constant, then acceleration will be 0. If acceleration is 0, right, then this term will be 0. Then definitely you can say that this implies that applied force will always be equal to kinetic frictional force. Right? Then only both will cancel the effect of each other, and according to Newton's first law, the object will keep on moving with constant velocity or constant speed. You must be doing that, right? According to Newton's first law, if net force acting on an object is 0, then only object will be at rest or it will be moving with constant speed. So your object is moving with constant speed. It means that net force acting on it is 0. It means that these two forces must be equal and opposite, right? The two forces acting on it must be equal and opposite. Clear? One most important point, what you can do? These are the 2 points. One more point is left. If actional force becomes 0, then what will happen? If you are sliding an object on the table, right, then you will find that slowly speed will decrease and finally it will come to rest. So that will write after this. Do one thing, pause this video and copy this. So as we have discussed, the first case is when the applied force is greater than kinetic friction, then the acceleration of the body will be F minus Fk over m. Second case, when acceleration is 0, that is object is moving with constant speed or velocity, you can say, then external force and kinetic frictional force both will be same according to Newton's first law, right? The third point is that when external force is 0, then acceleration will be equal to, according to this equation, 0 minus Fk by m. So that will be equal to minus of Fk by m. Clearly here negative sign indicates retardation, right? So slowly the speed of the object will keep on decreasing and eventually it will come to rest. Right, so this is the concept for kinetic friction. Again, kinetic friction is always less than static friction. Coefficient of kinetic friction is also less than the static friction. Clear? Now this force, the law of frictional force, are not considered as the fundamental laws like the gravitational force, the nuclear forces and all that, right? In fact, nuclear force is also now not considered as a fundamental force. In the same way, this frictional force is also not considered as the fundamental force because they are empirically obtained. Means they are true only for certain conditions. In fact, in mechanics, they are true for most of the conditions, but we cannot apply this law for almost all the conditions. For few conditions, this law fails. So they are the empirical conditions. The law which should satisfy each and every conditions are given as the fundamental forces or the fundamental laws. The forces that can be applied for each and every generalized condition, then they can be considered as a fundamental case. But here frictional force is true, but they are not exactly true for each and every case, right? Here we have considered that the static friction is nearly proportional to the normal, right? It is not exactly proportional to normal, but still these kind of laws are quite useful for solving practical purposes in mechanics. You can say that for solving numericals or to consider any concept for while preparing cars and all that, to find the stopping distance and everything. In that case, these kind of concepts are quite useful. In fact, you will learn how they decide the speed of the car and the braking distance while manufacturing the car and all that in chapter 6. So in that case, frictional force plays an important role. right? So this is how actually frictional force is an empirical concept in the sense it is the values are the empirical. You can say that the formulas are the empirical formulas because they are nearly true. They are not true in each and every condition, yet useful in mechanics. At the end of this topic in textbook, they have given that an object is lying on the floor of the train, right, and train is performing accelerated motion. Then due to that frictional force, that block is at rest relative to the floor of the train, right? Otherwise, and that it is rest because of the frictional force only. Let us say if this is the floor of the train and here we have a block and the train itself is moving in this direction with force F, right? Then due to inertia, if frictional force is zero, then the floor of the train should move forward and the block should remain at the same position, and finally it will get heated at the back of the train or the end of the coach, right? But it is not the case. Why? Because of the frictional force. Clear? So this is it for this video lecture. In next video lecture we are going to discuss about one more type of frictional force, that is rolling friction, right? So actually there are three type of frictional forces acting on a body. One is static friction, one is kinetic friction, and the third one is the rolling friction. Of course rolling friction is the least amount of frictional force acting on any body. So that we will discuss in our next video lecture. Apart from that, we are going to discuss about the advantages and the disadvantages of the frictional force, and at the end of that we will solve few MCQ based on frictional force. That is Fs is equal to mu Sn and all that. Based on that formula we are going to solve few MCQs in our next video lecture. Till then, keep on reading, keep on writing, and keep on preparing. Thank you.